Hi, Ileen Zovluck here. I'm going to do a little brief tutorial today about how to properly practice the student version of the Spanish study in the Frederick Noad Book, which is on page 49. Now, first of all, the name of this is not Spanish study. It's Asturias, and it's by Isaac Albeniz. This is not the concert version, which is much longer, and the concert version is in E minor. This is in A minor. And this is a very important piece in your progress as a student, because it will enable you to have the skills to play a lot of more difficult pieces. It will set you up for the SOAR studies, the Villalobos etudes and preludes, even Rodrigo Invocation and Dance. It'll give you the proper skills to start getting into those kinds of more advanced pieces. These are the building blocks. Now, the first thing you need to know is that this piece is on page 49 of the Frederick Noad Book. I don't know if you can see it from there, but it's pretty well marked up, but they do not put in any dynamics or anything like that. The first thing that you will see is that it says free stroke throughout. What is a free stroke? Just as a reminder, a free stroke is where you simply pluck the string with no fancy skill. You don't rest on the adjacent string whenever you play. You just pluck, and you make sure that you don't cut anything off by accident. So pretty much letting everything ring. Now, why are we playing? What is this piece from? This was originally a piece for piano, and not very many pianists play it or have recorded it. Alicia de la Rocha, who died only a few years ago, was very famous for playing the whole suite, including this piece. And it's gorgeous, and I encourage students to listen to the original piano version as well. Find a recording of her, listen to it on YouTube, buy a recording. It's wonderful. And make sure you get an older one, because when she was younger, she was remarkable. Now, let's talk about the speed of Spanish study. Spanish study goes pretty quickly, but it takes quite a long time to get it there, and that requires tons of patience. If you play it quickly, you will do yourself a big disservice, because what happens is when you try to play it quickly and you don't have the proper skill to do it yet, you develop an uneven rhythm that we colloquially refer to as a gallop. So instead of going da 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 like that, you'll go da 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 da. Now, while I'm beating in a steady way, I'm not articulating that beat steady. I'm going da 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 da, and then when you get to the second half of the piece, you'll go da 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 da, and that's completely wrong. The most important thing about playing this piece is to play it evenly. That's how the piece becomes effective, and how it will make your listener quite happy. So that's really what you want to achieve, as in addition to making yourself happy. So, the first thing you do is you get yourself familiar with the first few measures. You realize that the bottom note is played with your thumb and the top notes are played all with your M finger. So you're just going to be going like that. And you're going to start out. Okay, that's easy enough, but is it steady? Do you think so? Do I think so? Who knows? So we use one of these. Now, in case you've never seen me preach about this, this is a metronome. And a metronome, even if you have an excellent sense of rhythm, is a great fact checker. You just use it to check yourself. You don't leave it ticking all the time. That's just obnoxious. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my little old-fashioned digital metronome at 40, which is the slowest it will go. That's 40 beats per minute, which is slower than the second hand on a clock, and considerably slower than your average heartbeat. But it's slow, but it's the slowest speed that you can actually feel a pulse. Below that, when you use one of the newfangled metronomes that have digital number readouts, they don't usually go slower than 40, and if they do, you can't really feel any beat. You just hear a ring. random tick. So 40 is where you start feeling it. So that's where we're going to begin. Okay, that's my tick. And I'm going to set that to quarter notes. Now what that means is every time that my thumb plays a note, this thing's going to click. If I don't play a note when it clicks, it means I've made a mistake, I haven't done it right, and I should stop immediately. Don't keep going. You don't want to practice your mistake. So I'm going to set that in 40 and play a couple lines of it and see how I do. How am I doing? I'm doing okay. But can I be really sure that the note that isn't being played on the click is right? No, I'm guessing. So that's where another technique that you can employ when you're a little better at this piece, called subdivision. So I'm going to take that speed of 40 and I'm going to double it. 40 times 2 is 80. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to play one note every time this clicks, which means now my second note and my fourth note and my sixth note and my eighth note in the piece won't be off. I'll just follow the click. Now, that's a little annoying to listen to, but you'll know you're right if you're doing it. Annoying, but it is exactly the same speed that you were going at 40. You're just making it click twice as much. That's all. And it's a really good fact checker. It makes sure that everything is lined up, which is the important part of playing this. However, be advised that this subdivision number of 80 will not work when you get to the second half of this piece. You have to have it done in quarter notes, the thumb notes. Otherwise, your triplets will get messed up. We'll get to that in a minute. So now we're going to go back to 40. And the hard thing about doing this piece is when you get to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th line is where the music departs and goes into a different rhythm. Now this is very difficult for even professional musicians to do very effectively. Triplets are hard, especially when you have absolutely no break from one rhythm to the other, because you're going from 2 against 1 to 3 against 1 immediately, and that's hard. So I strongly encourage that when you get to that line alone, you use one of these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it at 40 again, break my fingernail in the process, and I'm going to play the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th line at 40 without stopping and see how it goes. It'll go fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and... Not easy. Now I'm going to speed it up quite a bit to show you how it works when you do it quicker. This is 60. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and. Now I'm going to speed it up considerably more. This is 80. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and. Well, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and. Now I'm going to speed it up to full speed. This is almost full speed. This is 104. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and. Now really full speed. 112. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's how that works. Now that's the fast-forward way of how to do it. But how do you start from scratch? Well, the first thing you have to do is really familiarize yourself with this melody. Make sure you're using the right left-hand fingers, otherwise you'll run out of fingers. So on. Now, what you do is once you can play everything together, as steady as you can. You don't have to get too crazy about it. Just make sure you know where everything is. Another thing you want to do is make sure that your M finger is not cutting off the note too short. You just want it to ring like a bell. The whole piece, whatever tempo it is, it doesn't even matter. Just be as steady as you can and get your familiarity, get it under your fingers, make sure that you know. All of that. You get to know that chord formation. Then you go back down to 40. You see if you can play the whole piece at 40, including the transition on the 6th line. I would go over the 6th line with a metronome separately. I would put several practice sessions into it to make sure that you can do it without faltering. Is that difficult? Yeah, it's hard to get right. But the more you do it, the better you will be at it. It's simply a matter of time. And to have time takes patience. So you do it at 40. You do it that way for a week. 2 weeks. After 1 or 2 weeks, you take your metronome, taking it 40, and you turn it up 1 click. 1 click. 1 click is 42. That's a very tiny amount of increase. It's barely noticeable even when you're listening carefully to it. When you're playing, you probably won't feel it either. By the time you get to 44, after 3 or 4 weeks, you may feel that increase. You tell me if it sounds different. I'll start playing it at 44. And here comes the triplet. I'll do that. Right on that tick. it for about a month, give or take, these are all variable, you go from 44 to 46. And you probably won't feel that either. Another week goes by, you're probably be up to about 50. 50 is going to feel very different. And you're going to start feeling like you're wobbling, trying to keep it steady. Stick with it, don't increase it. That's going to feel different. Stick with it. Don't increase it. Go very slowly. The slower you increase it, the better it will be. Now, why does that slow increase work so well? What happens is the metronome has numbers on it to tell you how fast you're going, obviously. The thing about it is, intellectually, you know you're increasing. But your hands don't. You're kind of fooling them into the fact that you are gradually increasing and your strength is so slowly growing that eventually 40 and 100 will feel the same. So your hands won't know the difference. They feel exactly the same if you do it right. And if you do it right, it should take anywhere between 1 and 4 months to do. And if you do it slowly enough, 40 and 100 will feel the same. They really honestly do. So, slower you go, better it is. By the time you're playing it about 2 months, you're going to be up to 60. 60 is the speed of the ticking clock in your kitchen. And it's going to start to really sound like something now. But you have to make sure you're not galloping. So, you're here. To here, you may really notice how much faster you're going, hopefully not, and you may start to gallop a little, and it might do something like this. That's terrible. What that means is that you've increased too quickly. And it's very hard to hear it when you're playing it yourself. So that means that you cannot go any faster, and in fact, you should go back a couple of clicks. Because that way, it will work itself out. You will be then fooling your hand again. It means to go back. That was 60. That means you have to go back to 50. You've regressed a little. That's not a bad thing, because it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back in many things. So, in a case like that, what you want to do at 50 is you'll want to double it again. You want to go to the 100 and iron out every note. Again, remember, the subdividing won't work with triplets. So, by the time you're playing it, let's say 3-4 months, you might be up to 80. You only go as fast as you can fool your hands into doing it. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and... And that's very respectable. By the time you're playing it 6 months or longer, you're probably up to Andante. Andante is about 92. That's pretty neato. And then you've pretty much arrived once you get past 100. So I'll play this at 108. I need to look at it. I won't leave the metronome ticking. That's just obnoxious. And there you have it, Asturias. Good luck with it. Ciao for now.